Yo wajeteshi TV. Nikwelo. Beke ne mimba nyefe nye de manye ai abra eha wo fe. Yo mwene ni fe moniko ete no. Ye NDC ni ami ni achole ake Youth Manifesto Launch. Youth Manifesto Launch. Amepa ni fe moniko ni ake akaba atual youth Niji His Excellency former President John Dramani Mahama ke nyumodrole dromona ni enye ewini oshike na wafo enye ewini nibi kome ni ikefo gbe ake ibafi nekewa ma nekewa youth nekani nete no ye Ganiami Neji NDC Youth Manifesto Launch. Ni nekechonic femoni ne no NDC ekefon jala akeshi no kome atadwi Ghana bi nyabanu nyenungomo His Excellency John Dramani Mahama kecho NDC no ameke kekeba Ghana bi fon shiki hale ni ewini mofiamo ka ogbe JHS na ogbe JHS no te SHS no ogbe na ka osumo alo dano ba bote university emi free eke level 100 niji kenken me na ba bote university emi free ope noko government nche ba kwe ni gbejano to nisani ato eambo no nye oboto university emi abato ambo eke neke wiemo ne for jalam ni amafe ama launch ama youth manifesto ye Ganiami ni danu wo ba ya wabo ni bi je no pe ni bi ekome ni ake abafe abacho no ni akecho se Obrayin krobrayi ni mba benafe ni wose amenye ke ameke wama ni bipi na mewie ni dan wo ba ya no wabu NDC Youth Manifesto Launch etuye wo ba dan wo ba akwe nya wo subscribe to Wajeteshi TV wo share wo like ni wo cho ne keni femo ni ne no no ketwa ga dan muye kemashi nya wo ya wo ba.
What do we want? Simple life, food, clothing, shelter, and good education. We don't want to travel outside this country. I'd like to stand on the same protocols that my earlier speakers have stood on and greet everyone who is here, especially my fellow youth who are here. So I'll say hello to you all. My name is Festus. My friends call me Brakuku. But today, I'd like to call you friends. So after here, you can call me Brakuku also. I'm here to talk about something which is very dear to all of us. Education. We all watched the video that was played some few minutes ago. And a lot of the ladies complained. What was their biggest complaint? They finished senior high schools and can't go to university. So their lives have taken a better turn. President John Mahama says this is going to be different. He sees a better future with the youth. When I was much smaller, I was told that I am the future leader. That future is now. Personally, in this current state, I can't see it. But there's hope for all of us in the people, John and Jane. So all I ask from all of you is that you walk with me as I journey with you through education. I'll not go too far back, but then we can all agree that the progressive free senior high school education was started by our very own President John Dramani Mahama. forward, President Akufo-Addo comes. He extends it to day students. And that's where we are now. But in this current state, our educational system is not the very best. We have overcrowding in our public schools. We have people who have finished senior high school and can't progress into the universities. Now let me highlight a few of the policies that will change all of this and make our educational system better, so that our 24-hour economy can work very well, and all the other wonderful policies would have Ghanaian hands to make them work. The first I'll talk about is President John Mahama promises to improve secondary education by doing three things. The first thing is ensuring a sustainable funding for free senior high school education. And you would admit with me that our free senior high school has been touted to be the biggest achievement, yet there's no fund to support it. You can't claim this is your biggest policy and not support it. Where do you want to pick the money from? Thank you. We will also complete the construction of the E-blocks and expand infrastructure to guarantee access to all students. About this, a few days ago I was watching news on TV3, and they did a documentary on how the E-blocks have stalled. And there was this particular community. Their people have to travel all the way to Tamale and further places so that the students who complete GHS can have secondary education. And all they asked for was that the current government complete it. But we all know that is not going to happen. So I'm charging you, for the betterment of the younger ones and all those behind us, please, on 7th December, don't sit in your house. If you are watching me, step out and vote for the completion of our E-blocks. We saw a lot of the artisans in the video before, telling us how a lot of people are falling short. What President Mahama is promising is that there will be a commencement and an establishment of a regional TVET center of excellence, which will be integrated with fabrication laboratories, which are equipped with 3D printers, not just any kind of printer, but 3D printers, and other state-of-the-art facilities to promote innovation and stimulate real work environments. With these, we move from the old way of training people to a more globalized system where we train manufacturers and thinkers who understand the system. This one I want all of you to hear. President John Mahama promises to extend free SHS to cover the private senior high schools. Not only is he promising to dedicate a fund to free senior high school, but he's extending it to cover the private senior high schools. What do we mean? We have students who can't go into the public senior high schools, basically because the public senior high schools are full. But we have empty private senior high schools. If we can educate people at the same cost that we are educating people in the public senior high schools, in the private secondary schools, why do we leave the private secondary schools over there? Let's move them there and pay the same cost for them. And I think this is a very laudable initiative for which we should clap for John Mahama. I don't know if you're excited about the few policies I've mentioned yet, but if you're not excited, I'm sure the next one is going to shock you. I want you all to say with me, no fees stressed. No fees stressed. What are we saying? President John Mahama is simply promising that, one, for all university entrants into level 100, you are not paying academic fees. No academic fees for all level 100 students. We've heard many stories. We've heard many stories about students who finish school with 6 A's, 7 A's, 8 A's, And we have to start crowdfunding sources for them so they can enter into university. All of that would be a thing of the past in the next NDC administration. The second part of this policy is the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus. The student loan is basically dead as it is. When President Mahama comes back, he would revamp the Student Loan Trust Fund. And all those who struggle after the first year free academic tuition in university can apply to the Student Loan Trust Fund so they are able to continue their education without stress. So when I say education with Mahama, you say no fees stress. Education with Mahama. Education with Mahama. I remember my time in Kenya University very well. I was given the prestigious hall. The rest can argue. Katanga Hall. Yes, I was a fellow. But the beauty of it was that I enjoyed every part of my first year. The rest of the time, I had to go and find another hostel somewhere. Mahama is saying when he comes back, policies like in, out, out will be a thing of the past. Why? Because he's going to work with the private sector to ensure that all the universities have very good bed facilities, and we call that the bed for all policy. You see, this problem does not stand alone because currently we have hostels charging exorbitant prices from students, and some students can't pay. But with this policy, we are assured of a regulated scheme, and students will be able to pay their hostel fees. I mean, people are paying 23,000 just to sleep in a hostel in Legon. 28,000 cedis. I mean, that's a huge amount. But with President Mahama, we are giving bed to all, so we call it the bed for all policy.
The victory of Mahama. The victory of Mahama. Come on. The victory of Mahama.
Institutions, and this is not going to be in the form it is currently. We will fully implement the national TVET qualification system. Now, before I walk away, let me remind you that it was this government acting through the former educational minister who now is aspiring to be a vice president of this country. Yes, our Kwame Nkrumah. They collateralized Get Fund. So much that now it's barely hard to disburse money to students, and we have students in Morocco crying. But the NDC is saying that when they come, we are going to decollateralize Get Fund. And when this is done, it will ensure prompt disbursement of funds. We need to fight for our educational system. We need to fight for ourselves. Because after all, tell me where we're gonna run, go, after making our motherland a better place to live. Answer me now, Mr. Big Man, you go collateralize. Get Fund now, we dey Morocco, they cry. It's simple, That's all we want to live. Thank you.
Now talk about challenges in our secondary and tertiary education sectors. Our secondary education sector is grappling with overcrowding and inadequate resources, contributing to diminished quality overall. A study by Africa Education Watch revealed that between the 2019-2020 and the 2022-2023 academic years, government's annual per student spending under the free SHS program was only 23%, while parents bore the remaining 77% of cost of education. The next NDC government will improve the free SHS program. We will engage the stakeholders in education and ensure proper infrastructure and sustainable dedicated funding for free SHS. We shall also decentralize the procurement of food and other supplies to the headmasters and school bases in order to improve the quality of food and also boost the local economies in the districts where the schools are located. We shall expand access by building more infrastructure in existing secondary schools, and we shall dedicate funding to completing the E-blocks in order that more children can have the opportunity to go to school. We will abolish the double track system. So that all our children can go to school at the same time and vacate at the same time. Our kids will not come and stay at home for 4 months and go to school having forgotten everything they learned in the previous term. Moreover, tertiary students face financial barriers, with over 40% struggling to afford education and accommodation. And as I recently announced during a visit to the University of Ghana, my government will partner with the private sector to demarcate a portion of the vast tracts of land that the universities are holding to construct hostels for students on campus at reasonable rates. And thereby address the accommodation challenges that students are facing. The professional institutions of architects and engineers will be engaged to provide uniform designs for these hostels and a costing of the hostels that will be built on all campuses, and that will be under our program of a bed for all students to be able to stay on campus. We'll also launch the No Fee Stress initiative, providing fee-paying support to eligible students, especially through the Student Loan Trust Fund. The reintroduction of a quota system has reduced admissions across both nursing and teacher training sectors, restricting entry for many youth who desire to train as teachers and nurses. We deplore the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration's practice of opening the recruitment portal only when elections are coming. We will implement a policy of continuous recruitment of teachers and nurses, especially for the underserved areas. The next NDC government pledges to abolish the teacher licensure exam. We will make teacher licensing a part of the final year program in colleges of education. The John and Jane administration will implement strategies to address teacher accommodation challenges, especially in rural areas, offering incentives to encourage them to accept postings to underserved areas. Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, only 20% of youth-led startups receive the necessary funding or mentorship. This lack of support results in high failure rates among young entrepreneurs, stifling innovation and job creation. And so the next NDC government will prioritize support for young entrepreneurs to ensure that they have access to capital and business development services and training. We will support them with funds to start and accelerate the pace of already existing youth-owned businesses.
Nyei wadon nya wo subscribe to Ojetechi TV. Wo like wo share ni wo twa ne kendi femo ni neke machine. Wo twa ne kendi femo ni no. Wo twa ga da meke machine. Nyei wadon